Have you ever needed an immunization, an x-ray, or something so seemingly simple as amoxicillin or penicillin? Take a moment to examine what your life would be like without these medical practices. The adaptation of medical and medical techniques to our ever-changing society is extremely important. Without these advances, so many people would not even be alive today. First, we'll start with the history of medicine. In prehistoric times, illnesses were believed to be caused by spiritual and natural causes. Therefore, their treatments were the same, although very ineffective. Their lifespan was only 25 to 40 years. The Egyptians, however, were a little more advanced than the previous. They had basic knowledge of the body, such as some functions of the liver and kidney, and basic knowledge of the cardiac system. They could do basic surgery, such as things close to the service, due to the lack of knowledge. And they also had lack of anesthetics as well. They had prosthetics, but they were not for functionality, more so to make funerals more appealing for the families. They also state claim on the earliest recorded physician. The Greeks probably had the most similar outlook on medicine as we do today. They were the origin of the Hippocratic Oath of treat the ill to the best of one's ability, preserve a patient's privacy, and to teach the secrets of medicine to the next generation, so on and so forth. In medieval and Renaissance Europe, the smallpox vaccine was created, saving billions of lives. Next, we'll discuss modern medicine, or medicine from around the 1800s to now. For example, in 1818, a British obstetrician named James Blundell performed the first successful transfusion of human blood. In 1849, the really wonderful progress of the medical world started to happen. Elizabeth Blackwell was the first woman ever to receive a medical degree, and in 1867, a man named Joseph Lister published a book called Antiseptic Principle and Practice of Surgery. This book highlighted the need for proper cleaning and just overall order in hospital operating rooms. One hospital that started using these techniques, the percentage of death from infection went from a staggering 60% down to only 4%. From 1879 to 1897, a multitude of vaccines were released, including vaccines for cholera, anthrax, rabies, diphtheria, typhoid fever, and the plague. In 1879, in addition to the vaccines for the plague, Ronald Ross discovered that malaria was transmitted through mosquito bites, although the treatment was discovered much earlier. In 1899, Felix Hoffmann developed aspirin, which would come to be the most widely used medical it would become the most widely used medicine in the world. In the 1900s, there was a turning point in our medical techniques today. It wasn't until 1901 that Austrian-American Karl Landsteiner discovered the rejection and compatibility factors and developed the blood typing system that we use today, such as the A, B, and O factors. He received the Nobel Prize for this discovery. In 1907, the year was the first successful blood transfusion using Landsteiner's discovery and his knowledge. The 1900s were also a breeding ground for pivotal vaccines, such as from 1922 to 1998, vaccines for whooping cough, tuberculosis, influenza, measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, pneumonia, Hep A, Hep B, and Lyme disease. In 1952, the first ever pacemaker was developed, and in 1953, the structure of DNA was first described. And in 1978, which is probably the most amazing discovery in medicine, personally, as I think, the first test tube baby was born in the UK. The future of medical knowledge is infinite. There is virtually no limits to what may be accomplished. For one example, augmented reality. This would allow doctors to see structures such as blood vessels and just being able to project information onto wherever they were looking in order to help surgeons and doctors work more effective and efficiently. Cyborg technology is another example of medical advances. Although the intent would most likely be for people with impairments who have lost limbs or no longer have function of them, scientists fear that people would start to use this to enhance their own looks and body function just because they can. 3D printing of organs and limbs is a process that's already been started. This gives people on the transplant list a hope that they may have earlier access to one when theirs is failing. One of the newly found uses could involve virtual reality as well. This would allow medical students to have an experience of what it would be like to actually do the surgery before they start performing it on an actual person, therefore reducing the risk of injury or death because they would be more confident and therefore more successful. Robotic surgery may also increase success rates because it allows surgeons to be more steady and get into places that are a little less invasive and would end up leaving less of a scar on a patient. So today I've informed you about the past, the current, and the future of medicine and medical techniques. As stated before, the constant adaptation throughout medical history has been crucial to us as humans. In conclusion, the history of medicine is vital in understanding how society has gotten to where we are today. Medicine is continually improving along with the needs of the world and will continue to do so for the rest of time.